Let's talk building elevations, okay? Now, when Revit has the 4 exterior elevations by default, okay? And these are called, north, south, east, and west. And if I click on one of them, it gives you the options to, turn on other, elevations. And I guess you could have other elevations here if, I don't know, if you had a U-shaped building, an L-shaped building, it just kind of varies, or a courtyard or something like that. But that's just that. Now, if I click on the triangle, let me see here. Crop region visible. There we go. Let's turn that on. And so it shows me the start point of my elevation and then how far it would go, okay? Because I've got it right here, no clip, so let's go clip without line. And now I can see where my far clip is. Well, that's not going to help me much on my elevation, so let me go now to my east elevation, and you can see it's blank. All right, so back to level 1 here. So oftentimes, it depends on your building. You may want the far clip to go, all the way across the building. You may want it to only go to just beyond the peak of the roof. It totally depends on your roof and what you've got going on. In a case like this, we may want to show that wall. Let's see how it looks, okay? So you can see right here, that's where the wall turns and goes back in. It could be confusing. We may need to create a second view in there. Instead of that showing all the way across. So we would pull this cut plane back. Okay. And now we only see that part of the building. I'm going to go to color just so you can see it a little easier, okay? And so now what I would do is I would put another elevation marker in for this wall. So I go view, elevation. Let me back up. On the pull down, we have elevation and then framing elevation. Framing elevation is for your structural steel. If you have a structural steel building and you want just the structural framing elevation, that's what we would choose. It is not wood framing. Revit does not do wood framing in its native format, okay? So we would go elevation. And in our properties, we have 2 choices, interior elevation and building elevation. Well, I'm doing a building elevation. And so I'm going to pull it in for this wall right here. And so I'll click that on and see what my clip and everything is, see what my view range and everything is. Okay. And if you noticed, it renamed it over here, elevation 2A. And so the smart thing to do when you're creating more elevations is to go ahead and rename them so that you know what they are. Okay. Okay, and so there's the elevation of just that part of the building. Okay, now, like I've said so many times before, wherever you work is going to determine how you do things, okay? Now, let's look at interior elevations. Oh, another thing, when you get your walls set up, you're going to want to adjust these elevation markers so that they're somewhat in the center of the area, okay? And you can adjust your crop region so that it is not super huge, because when you go to a drawing, and probably the thing to do, let's look here. You can see how my levels go way out. And sometimes we'll have levels turned on, sometimes we will not have levels on, we'll just apply dimensions. It depends on the project and how you're working, okay? So you can adjust those here in the floor plan, or you can adjust them in the actual elevation view. Okay, so interior elevations. When you place them, you notice the symbol is different. It's round with a small triangle above it, okay? And if I select the circle, you see I've got 4 options there. I can click, multiple sides. Okay, and then it gives them a name, and it creates another index over here in your browser for interior elevations. And these get renamed, and often I will name them in an abbreviated format. Okay, so for example, if I want interior elevations of my kitchen, and so I would rename them like KIT-N for north, KIT-S for south. Okay, and that it helps knowing which ones they are when you're looking at them. All right, so if I want to, let's place an interior elevation in this little room that's at a weird angle, and you can see it will automatically orient to a wall. All right, and so I placed it there. Now I want elevations of all 4 sides, and so let's click all 4 boxes, and you can see there it named them elevation 3. Some of them are 1s and this one's a 3. So I want to rename this one. I thought I could do it there. Okay, so 3A. So let's rename it. I'm going to say room 4 north. Okay. Or maybe I should call that northwest. And this one, 1B. East. Okay. I'm not going to go into and rename all of them, but okay, so I got my crop view and all that kind of stuff set on. Let's go find detail. And that pulls in the window trim. And you notice it being an interior elevation, by default, its crop view is the walls on either side of it. So it's very similar to a section view, except for now it stops at the wall. So it goes out beyond the wall there, but I could pull it back in so that it's just beyond the wall. That just cleans things up a bit. In case there's something outside the window that would be visible, okay? And you can see it crops it in at the wall, which is a normal way of doing an interior elevation. If you don't want the full extent of the wall, you can certainly pull those in. Okay. I think that pretty well, that covers a lot of stuff on elevations. Let's go back. To here, okay, and when you place them on a drawing, your crop region has a lot to do with the extents of your levels, and of course any annotation that's in there. And I think I've covered this in other drawings, so we can move the title here. Okay, if we select the viewport, we can shorten the title line. Okay, we can move it up and down, of course. Okay, I think that covers a lot, just about everything dealing with elevations. It's really pretty simple. It's just remember to make that change if you're doing an interior elevation to choose the right one. Okay, and then also, since we were talking about view templates, when I'm doing certainly do it in a commercial project, but if I'm doing a larger residential project, I'll create a view template for my interior casework. Okay, so that all, like maybe bathrooms, I'll have one for interior bathrooms elevations, and then I'll have one for interior kitchen elevations. I'll have view templates set up for that so that I can apply all of my view settings, in one fell swoop. Okay. All right. So that, I think, covers everything for week 9. Nothing for you to turn in, just some learning about how things are working. And then next week, we'll move into a few other things, and then you'll have a project that you'll turn in next week. Okay. So that's it. If you've got questions, send me an email. Come see me in the lab. Okay.